M3GAN, which was a January release horror movie, the slot often reserved for Hollywood's absolute crap, trash, and outright garbage, was actually pretty good. It was funny, it was entertaining, it was actually more of a comedy horror than a horror comedy. Maybe a comedy slasher would be the most accurate thing to label this. And I was thoroughly entertained. I went on date night with the fiance, we had a good time, we laughed all the way through, we wished the movie was rated R, and at this point in time, but before I get into the main premise of this video, I will say if you want to see it and you care about spoilers, because this video will have a bunch of spoilers, I'm gonna give it a recommend right off the bat. Wasn't perfect, but considering the trash that comes out in January each and every year, this is about as good as you're gonna get. And one of the things that I was absolutely surprised about with M3GAN is the fact that the acting was pretty good. You had the little girl from The Haunting on Hill House playing Katie. You had the girl that I often confuse with Laurel Cohan from The Walking Dead, the chick that plays Maggie, but in reality, she's the lady from Get Out playing Gemma, Allison Williams, and they do a pretty good job selling the premise of this movie. But more fundamentally, this movie actually had quite the wholesome message, and the real villain of the movie, by the way, this is the whole premise of the video, isn't actually the killer robot that you see in all the trailers. The real villain of the movie is the modern woman as represented by Gemma, the main character. Now, before I blow your mind with this 10,000 IQ analysis of this first week of January Hollywood release, I just want to say thank you to everybody who signed up on Patreon, Subscribestar, donates individually to my links in the description, and to those of you who sign up over on the website, actualjusticewarrior.com/join, for your support. There's no sponsor, so without further ado, let's get into the movie.
Katie, you lost your parents.
Welcome home.
You're my niece. I'm gonna do everything I can to make this place feel like home.
Just wish I could see them again.
So the premise of this movie is as follows. Katie, who is the little girl that you see in the trailers who ends up befriending M3GAN, the robot, is going up skiing with her parents. Now, it's a blizzard, and because it's a blizzard, that means the parents decide that they need to drive through because they want to take a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old. I can't really age this kid properly because I don't know anything about kids. Never been in the same room as a child, if I'm being perfectly honest. Up to go ski. But they realize that it's quite treacherous. They're driving up a mountain. It's dangerous. They're arguing. And the little brat in the back is playing with this stupid toy that was given to her by her aunt, who is Gemma, who is our main character and our real villain of this movie. Now, throughout the course of this scene, which looks like initially it was constructed to make it seem like the girl playing with the toy and being addicted to tech and the toy being given to her by Gemma was actually the cause of the accident, seemed like that was going to be where this movie was going. But it feels like there was a bit of a rewrite right here, and they decided to not go that hardcore because that would have added more guilt, more layers, and it actually would have made the movie a little bit better in my opinion. But whatever, what ultimately ends up happening is that the parents decide to stop in the middle of the blizzard because they're worried that they're going to get driven off the road or something like that, because again, they're going up a mountain during a really bad blizzard. And like what seems to happen all the time, just ask Jeremy Renner, they get hit by a giant snowplow. And by the way, if that joke was too soon for Mr. Jeremy Renner, just know I mean it in all good fun. I really like the guy and I wish him a speedy recovery. And I'm so sorry to him and his family, but you know, you gotta make the joke when you can make the joke.
I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't even take care of my own plants. I have this project at work. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I dreamed of this perfect toy that would protect a kid from ever feeling lonely or sad. This is M3GAN.
Hi, M3GAN. I'm Katie. It's nice to meet you, Katie. Do you want to hang out? Okay.
Anyway, Katie's parents die, Gemma becomes her legal guardian, and this is where we are introduced to our main character, who normally, in normal Hollywood movies like this, would already be a completely concluded person. So, she is set up as our modern woman. First and foremost, she is a woman working in tech, and she's not the CEO or anything like that. She is the brains behind the technology in this toy company that she works at. She designs everything, and she puts in sophisticated AIs into the toys to make them much more playable and much more enjoyable by the children. She's also a wealthy woman. She makes a good salary. You could tell by the signifiers, beautiful house, electric car, and all that. and she's living the single life. We are shown early on in this movie that this girl has a bunch of different Tinder matches, and again, she lives in a house surrounded by technology because this is a woman in STEM. Now, interestingly enough, in most modern movies, she would have an anti-character arc where she realized she was right all along, or she would just be this as the concluding point. Essentially, she would be being put down by her CEO and eventually get to the career position and all that. However, this movie actually does a decent job of painting her as the villain because she ends up trying to use technology and her obsession with work in order to skirt her newfound responsibility as a mother of Katie. And this is how M3GAN gets introduced into the scene. M3GAN is an AI that she builds supposedly to be a toy to make her new daughter or her adopted daughter, her sister's kid, happy. But in reality, in actuality, the reason why she's building this toy
M3GAN, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
is so that the toy can take care of Katie rather than Gemma being the parent that she is now forced in a position to be. She does not want to give up her modern working girl, high-end STEM career life in order to become a mother, and her unwillingness to make that sacrifice ends up lending itself to all the problems later on in the movie. And this is not a theme that the filmmakers were unaware of, or maybe they were unaware of it, but it's very obvious throughout the course of the movie when she's selling the toy as a commercial, because they're not only giving it to Katie as a mechanism to take away parental responsibility from Gemma, but as a way to test it as a marketing tool. She's selling it based on all the things that it does. And when she presents it as this thing that checks in on her kid, makes sure her kid does her homework, teaches the kid, reads the kid stories, and all of that.
Studies indicate that a staggering 78% of a parent's time is spent dishing out the same basic instructions. With M3GAN around, she'll take care of the little things, so you can spend more time doing the things that matter.
Everybody looks at her like, wait a minute, don't you want to have any kind of parental role or anything like that? But no, she's obsessed with her career first, and she's ignoring the needs of the child and ignoring the fact that this AI is too sophisticated, and it's ultimately going to lead itself, due to its conflicting objectives, to be a homicidal robot. Now look, the mother versus career woman dynamic is not the only theme present throughout the course of this movie. Obviously, there are other themes, and some that you know right off the bat are definitely going to be there just based on the premise of the movie. Obviously, you have, technology's getting out of hand, AI dangerous, and all of that stuff, and the absolute worst theme to ever exist in a movie that's basically could be said about any movie, that it's a critique of capitalism. We're critiquing capitalism in this regard, but overall, all the things that I expected from this movie based on the premise weren't really there. Now, sure, there's a CEO of this toy/tech company that seems to be more of a profit concern, make himself look good kind of character, but this guy in no way, shape, or form is Elon Musk. On top of that, he's actually an Asian person presented in not the best light during the course of the movie. He's actually a character. Typically, in these modern movies, minorities and women are these holier-than-thou type of characters, and evil white men are the absolute worst. But in this movie, that's not really how it goes down. We have three characters on the tech team working on M3GAN. Black woman, white woman, who's our main character and villain, and white guy. Neither one of these three is presented as this evil person or anything like that, or an ultimate villain. They work together as a team, and again, they're not really denigrated throughout the course of the film. The CEO, who's played by this Asian guy, who apparently is from The Daily Show, it's a guy who we don't typically see Asians play incompetent leaders of companies, who is a villain, and they didn't go for the obvious things like making him an Elon Musk or making him an incompetent white person just because he was white. He's an interesting character, and honestly, he's more analogous to the Parag guy over at Twitter, as in the guy who didn't build it, who a lot of people foresaw as somebody who was not an innovator and was just a manager that was kind of towing the party line in order to bow down to investors.
Honestly, like she's part of the family now.
They could be building emotional connections that are too hard to untangle.
She's the happiest she's been since her parents died.
But regardless of the other themes, the overall message of this movie, the theme that comes through the strongest, is that this careerist woman, this person who embodies all these masculine traits, trying to innovate out of situations rather than nurture out of situations, is the source of the problems that we see. If Gemma would have actually been a mother to her niece when she needed it most, rather than just trying to escape that responsibility while forwarding herself in the career, none of the bad things that happen in this film would have happened. The daughter would not have become addicted to the technology and become a little demon throughout the course of this film, due to the fact that Gemma allowed her to attach herself to M3GAN as the primary caretaker, which again, she built and basically used to substitute for the maternal responsibilities that she had taken on when her sister died, because she was more interested in preserving her own life rather than taking on the responsibilities of being a mother.
You just said the one thing I asked you not to do.
Research shows that if you force a child to eat vegetables, then they'll be less likely to choose those foods as adults.
Is that so?
Yes. Experts say the preferred method is to give your child the choice. It's called the division of labor.
Let's just talk about it. Hey.
Let me go!
Whoa. Hey, what's going on? Hey, Katie.
Go!
What are you doing? Stop it. Katie, calm down.
Let her go!
Now, at certain points in this movie, it is basically outright stated that this is the case by M3GAN herself, the android, I guess it's called, in this category. It's definitely not a cyborg because it doesn't have any actual human components, who ends up going crazy and killing a bunch of people. And it makes a lot of sense. If you are not willing to deal with and cope with your niece who lost both of her parents and might feel responsible for that, and you pawn this off to an AI that is not meant to understand sophisticated emotions, and you give it a directive to soothe and make sure that her physical and emotional state is protected, then the logical result is a bunch of murders and that robot going crazy, and eventually that robot deciding that you, in fact, need to be wiped out as well. Now, the movie's also pretty funny. There's a lot of entertaining moments throughout the course of it. I would say definitely don't watch the second trailer for this movie. It gives away far too much. Even me spoiling major aspects of the movie doesn't give away as much as was given away in the second trailer. And the movie definitely should have been R-rated. But overall, a good movie, surprisingly good for the month of January, legitimately funny. Should have been rated R, but, you know, even at PG-13 was entertaining, had a child murder in it, so who doesn't love that, and a surprisingly wholesome theme, complete with a character arc for a female character that needs to actually learn to become a mother, a la Terminator 2, when you have Linda Hamilton all jacked up as the soldier, and throughout the course of that movie, she needs to learn to actually raise the kid that's going to lead the rebellion, not just protect the kid that leads the rebellion. So it's a definite solid recommend, and I would be happy to watch it again, especially if they released a R-rated version of it on some kind of streaming service, because I found it to be that entertaining, but obviously it needed the blood, it needed the gore, it needed that extra notch for me to really get into it, for it to be an absolutely 100% good movie. But, you know, that's really where I'm at. Now, I want to know what you guys think. Have you seen M3GAN? Did you enjoy it? Do you think that the themes that I'm talking about are actually present there? Or am I just making it up because I'm absolutely crazy and I need something to do, something to think about when I'm going out on dates with my fiance? Or are you now interested in seeing it? Or are you never going to watch this at all and you think it's trash, you think everything Hollywood is trash, and you're some of those people who decide to comment on my videos after watching them all the way through just to tell me that it wasn't worth your time, even though you definitely watched my video all the way through. I know you're out there. I know you are watching right now. I know you're probably mid-sentence, so go ahead, leave that comment. And hey, if it's an interesting or compelling point or something that will make me laugh, I'll definitely notice it and maybe even leave you a reply. But overall, those are my thoughts related to M3GAN. Now, you guys know the drill. If you like this video, show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social media. Support me via the support links in the description box of this video. This has been me talking about M3GAN. Till next time.